This act of this shadow, the era of shadow and the things that makes up shadow, the sacrifice is the core. Now, the sacrifice was not the only thing done. It's like cooking a soup. You want to cook a soup. In the name of the soup, the word is the name of what you want to cook is soup. But the picture means that you need several ingredients. There are different kinds of soup and different kinds of ingredients. Now, there is the soup that requires a lot of pepper. There's a soup that requires a lot of vegetable. There is a soup that requires a lot of okra, a lot of obono, and there are soup that requires that doesn't require leaf or vegetable. Now, all these are soup. Just the same thing goes to sacrifice. There are various types of sacrifices during the era of shadow that man offers to God. Now, what makes their differences is the materials that is needed for the sacrifices. Now, there were sacrifices that needed to deal with, they call it sin offering. There are sacrifices of unleavened bread. There are sacrifices of Passover, the unleavened bread. There are sacrifices of various kinds, peace offering, wave offering, different kinds of sacrifices were made, and atonement. Now, there are materials that are needed, and over time we discover that materials such as incense were used, such as water were used, such as salt were used, such as the lighting of candles were used, such as wearing of particular clothing, garments were used, sacrifices, materials such as barefootedness in some cases were used. Now, all this makes up the shadow. The shadow that God introduced when due to the fallen state of man, in order for man to reach out to him. Now, in the era of salvation, the shadows have been swallowed up in the era of salvation. The substance became raw and undiluted again. You see, that is the reconciliation to which God was in Christ Jesus, reconciling the world to himself, not imputing their trespasses unto them, and has given unto us the ministry of reconciliation. Now, the difference between the substance in the days of Adam and Eve before the fall, and that which is now in the era of salvation, is that before the fall, man has no knowledge of sin and iniquity. Now, but in this era of salvation, man is completely transformed and completely delivered from sin and iniquity. So that's just the only difference. That's why you see the era of substance is not called the era of salvation, because there was no need for man to be saved. But in this era of salvation, there was need for man to be saved from, that which has gotten him bound. And so the issue of the ceremonial laws and rites has been swallowed up in this era of salvation. Thus, now the finish, as I said, soup is soup. Depending on the type and the type that you want to cook, the ingredient shows the difference. So now, what am I trying to say? The sacrifice of Jesus Christ becomes what the Father wants. No other sacrifices was needed any further. So, and all those rites, ceremonial rites, came as a result of the sacrifices that were offered then. So now Jesus Christ has offered himself as a living sacrifice. And he has offered himself. His blood was shed, and by